Thank you, Madam Chair, Secretary General. Thank you, Minister and support staff for your answering the questions. I will dive into it straight because I only have 2 questions. I know it's late, but I do think it's important. Seeing the different funding the different school boards are receiving from the schools, what is and have the ministry done to prevent the hair discrimination that some students are experiencing in school? Team Times has very much tackled that matter by even providing me as a member of parliament the Hair Discrimination Prevention Act. So I would like to know, through you, Madam Chair, have there been meetings with the different school boards to adjust the current hair-related rules and regulations? And has there been set a plan, policy, and even legislation in regards to that? And my second question is related to the current rise in suicide under the youth. What is the committing suicide under the youth? What is the short-term plan that has been set in place by the ministry? Is there even a budget provided to tackle this matter, especially in regards to early detecting mental health-related challenges under the youth? Will there be a short-term campaign awareness plan set in place? And if so, when will this start so that we can bring that awareness under the youth? Those were the 2 questions, Madam Chair. I thank you.
Thank you, MP Roosburg. MP York, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have many questions, but given the time, I'm going to be brief, and I'm only going to ask one. There were 2 questions posed to the Minister concerning the state of affairs, education affairs, and he repeatedly said the report basically the presentation was given to the cabinet, but the questions were, when are they coming to Parliament? I didn't get the answer on that. Thank you. Other questions I'll ask at a later date.
Thank you, MP York. I now give the floor to MP Brug.
Madam Chair, sorry.
MP Myers, you...
I was next, but my thing gone dead.
Oh, okay.
Be careful. Here, go ahead.
That is quite sad.
I'll use MP Brooks' mic.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah, I have to choose. I have to select a better choice of words, Madam Chair. I just realized what I said.
MP Brug, I want to emphasize, could you share your mic with MP Myers, please? MP Myers, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Honorable Minister Griffith, Honorable Minister of Education, thank you for being here and answering the questions. Interestingly enough, you mentioned something, you answered a question that one of my colleagues had in regards to Charlotte Brookson. I know that about a year ago, there was a situation with Charlotte Brookson where the financial controller embezzled well over $1 million guilders from that school of government subsidy. Can you update me, or through you, Madam Chair, or the members of Parliament, as to what ultimately happened with that? Because I do not remember hearing of any criminal persecution or prosecution for that, and that's a large amount of funds to be embezzled. Can you highlight me, give me some information on that? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Myers, and now MP Brug, you may use your mic and ask your question. MP Brug, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair Lady. Good evening, St. Maarten. Good evening, Honorable Minister of Education and your Culture, Youth and Sports, and your supporting staff. Thank you very much for answering the questions, most of the questions that I've asked. Despite that you gave the answers, I tend to disagree with some of the information given. And I know that the information that you receive is not from you yourself, you have persons on the ground. And one of those information is pertaining to the meal program for our students. Schools may not you have stated that schools have not indicated that there's a need for such. My advice to you, to the ministry, is to please reach out to the schools again individually and request this information. How much students are in need of some form of meal program? Is there an organization that's already supporting, or how much are they short of? This is something that I'm busy already with my staff, and the numbers are coming in. So I can honestly tell you that yes, still there are a lot of students that go to school hungry, and we're not covering all the amount that we're supposed to cover, even with the help of private sectors and organizations as well. So the meal programs is definitely much needed. You explained to me the process of how truancy works. You had it down to the T. But when I talk about the truancy, what I really wanted to highlight is the fact that it's an area where we can gain additional funds for a ministry that is in dire need of more funds. You spoke, yeah. With regard to example you listed exactly that the school, it starts with the schools, it ends with the schools, and the school have to report, but it reached a point where the students or the parents reach at the airport, and that's where the gap is. Because there's no way to hold them accountable, there's no way to find them, and that's actually the direction that I want to go. Is it possible that we can look into a ministerial agreement together with the Inspectorate of Education and the immigration at the airport to find some way, somehow, in order to, even before, for example, before the parent take off, that they have to pay a fine as long as they don't have that approval letter from the school. That can be an additional income for this budget, whether it's this budget or for the future budget of 2025. We spoke about also I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but one of the former ministers, Pastor Smith, he took away the mandate from the inspectorate. And I know that ministers that followed after him tried something. I don't know how far it is. Is it possible you can give me an update pertaining to that? Does the inspectorate now has its mandates completely that it can execute its task? It's very important for them to get their mandate so that they can do what they have to do in order to prevent these young children from escalating from being dropouts or from being thrown to school to being criminals on the streets and being, ending up in our houses when we're not there, doing certain things that they're not supposed to be doing. And yes, and I think, yes, one last thing as well. I didn't mention it the last time, but is it possible that you can give me an update as to exactly what's going on with the original Prince William Alexander School in St. Peter's? There was, a couple years back, there was a ceremony, there was this, there was that, a lot of different plans. I don't know what went wrong. This can be done in writing, actually. Is it possible you can give me an information of what exactly is going on with that particular school? And what's the future intention for it? Madam Chair Lady, that would be all of my clarifications for now and also updates.
Thank you. Thank you, MP Brug. I now give the floor to MP Otley. MP Otley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, through you to the Honorable Minister of Education, it was mentioned earlier by the Minister of VSR when I asked about the healthy food meals program for the schools, that a further collaboration had to be done, information had to be sought, which I don't agree with, however, because a full assessment was done even before the pilot project. But to dovetail on MP Brook, I would say I too don't agree with the answer that is not needed, because 167 kids benefited from the meals program that we provided while I was in VSA. And the intention was to carry out to the rest of the schools, where over 300 would have benefited from such programs. So it's a real thing. Kids are going to school hungry. So please let us revisit that analysis. And that is all that I have to say, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Otley. MP York, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The minister alluded to the fact that the 1 cent per liter post of 110,000 guilders was not from the 1 cent per liter provision. But it was there, and now it's not there anymore. What's the story around that? So where did the money come from, and where has the money gone? Thank you.
Thank you, MP York. I don't see any other members of Parliament asking for further clarification and a question. Minister, you, in response to my question regarding the Charlotte Brookson Academy and the amount that was on the government budget for that school, if I understood you correctly, in the established budget, so the one that is the current budget before it's amended, there was not only an amount on the capital budget of government for that school, but a whole presentation was made by the Minister of Education about the plans for this school. And so with that not being in this amendment, I'm asking, has that project been scrapped? It was specifically mentioned, and the reason why I tie it in to the National Theater or whatever the center in the Chamber of Commerce building would include was because in the plans for the Charlotte Brookson Academy to be financed out of the government capital budget, there was supposed to be a center for the performing arts, which the minister indicated could have been used by the general public. So hence my question, has the project of the Charlotte Brookson Academy, has that been completely scrapped? And in 2025, according to this budget amendment, there is a post for 12,100,000 guilders for a high school. That's what it's mentioned in this budget for 2025. And it is mentioned under the Dienst Openbare Onderwijs. So I'm asking you, is that a replacement of the 12 million that was in the 2024 budget for the Charlotte Brookson? So just that I explain it better, but a whole presentation was made in Parliament here regarding the plans of the Charlotte Brookson Academy that would have included a national center, a national theater, national center for the performing arts. That's where I was actually going. So would we get a national center for the performing arts, whether it be in the building of the Chamber of Commerce, whether it be that the renovations at John Lamini are going to be of such a nature, because there's only 2 million budgeted for that, that we would then have a center there for the performing arts. So, Minister, and again for me too, that whole explanation surrounding a center for the performing arts can be put in writing, and then I would be able to peruse it before we continue the handling of this amended budget in public meeting. So, Minister, I now look at you again in terms of, you have had a few questions, including mine for a further explanation, and how do you wish to proceed on those? Minister?